Hi, this is Deepak. So I'm back again. Today's been quite busy. Earlier this morning, I spoke to you about how the universe is taking selfies of itself through the human brain and creating a human universe. So I have with me right now the pleasure of having a conversation with Stephen Ritz. Stephen, say hi.
Hi everybody, si se puede.
Yeah, and Stephen Ritz is the founder of Green Bronx Machine, and his new book, which is called The Power of a Plant. The Power of a Plant, a Teacher's Odyssey to Grow Healthy Minds and Schools. And he was very kind to dedicate it to me with a quote from somewhere. And nothing is more important than reconnecting with your bliss. Nothing is as rich, nothing is more real. Thanks for bringing so much goodness to the world. Grow something great, make epic happen. And then he signed it for me. So Stephen, first of all, congratulations on your great success with the book and also with the Green Bronx Machine. Tell us a little bit of history. How did you get started in this great endeavor?
I got started literally by mistake. And let me say, today is a day to celebrate. How often can you get out and meet a hero? So today I sit next to my hero, and it's proof that anything can happen. And how you think, how you behave, and how you eat can extend and change your life 30 to 50 years, another genius once said. And that's my story, just in the least likely place with passion, purpose, and hope. We can make epic happen. And here I am sitting next to an icon. So it's proof that if I can, you can, we all can.
So tell us a little bit about the genesis of this great idea. How did it start?
Well, it started literally by mistake and by accident. Someone sent me a box of daffodil bulbs. I was teaching in a very dysfunctional high school after some tremendous tragedy in my life, personally and professionally. Losing a child, losing some of my own students, and literally just circling the wagons around my family, and wound up inheriting a job in a place that was difficult at best, but determined to make the best of it. And I got this call one day to come to the principal's office, and in that office was a box, and I was like a kid on Christmas morning. I go running down there to open up the box, and I rip it open, and inside are these things, and they were like onions. They looked like something. I had no idea what they were, and I walked out like back to class and put these daffodil bulbs, if you will, behind an old radiator in a 100-year-old school building and forgot about them. And literally about 6 weeks later, there was a fight in class, and I had some very difficult children. And this boy was teasing this girl, and this girl gets up to run across the class and literally to wring his neck, and he goes reaching under the radiator. And in slow motion, I'm like, this is the end of my career. And he grabs out under the radiator, and out comes this flower. And he starts waving this flower, and we had no idea where it came from, no idea what it was. And it turned out that that box of onions were actually daffodil bulbs. And that's what we call in the South Bronx a teachable moment. And we figured out that those were actually a gift, and we were supposed to plant them. And that year, my students and I went on to plant about 15,000 bulbs across New York City in some of the most disparate neighborhoods, celebrating what is possible. And that was the birth of Green Bronx Machine.
And now tell us about Green Bronx Machine.
Well, Green Bronx Machine believes that the art and science of growing vegetables aligned to content area instruction can grow healthy students, healthy communities, and healthy schools. So as I like to say, 50,000 pounds of vegetables later, my favorite crop is organically grown citizens, graduates, members of the middle class, kids who are going to college. And to think, it's funny, because when I started this program, this was me. I was chronically obese, chronically sick, and literally eating myself to death. But it's proof that what I grow in school, using 90% less water, 90% less space, aligned to Common Core and content area instruction, can change lives, including my own. So as I like to say, we got 99 problems in the South Bronx, but growing fresh fruit and vegetables is no longer one.
So how much weight did you lose?
I lost over 120 pounds.
Oh my God. So what else did you notice as you lost your weight?
Well, what I noticed as I lost weight is how differently people treated me. And there's a bias towards people who are unhealthy. And also as an educator, I saw that children who are heavy tend to be in the dean's office. They tend to be the bully or be bullying. And then I started looking at the correlation between food and performance, and I came to this realization that in the South Bronx and across America, children will never be well read if they're not well fed. So I wanted to switch the paradigm of the work that I was doing from overage, undercredited children, getting them at the end of the cycle where they were really accomplished at failing, to building good habits upon good habits upon good habits, and starting at the youngest age possible. So I flipped the program and started working in elementary schools and built out the National Health, Wellness, and Learning Center. And the results have been transformational. In the first year, we saw a 50% reduction in out-of-class time and behavioral incidents, which means teachers were able to teach, students were learning. The second year, we saw a 45% increase in state test scores. And last year, we got the highest school performance review ever. So it's proof that if you grow something, I tell children that they are my seeds, and seeds represent genetic potential. And I want all my children to reach their God-given genetic potential.
So now we know, of course, that only 5% of what are called disease-related gene mutations are fully penetrant, which means they guarantee the disease. The remaining 95% of disease-related genetic mutations are not fully penetrant. They are influenced by lifestyle. The things that you mentioned earlier, I've been talking about too, how we think, how we feel, how we even speak, how we behave, what we eat. We also know that the underlying factor in most chronic illness, whether it's cardiovascular disease, of course metabolic syndrome, obesity, diabetes, but also other diseases like autoimmune illnesses and many, many types of cancer. There's an underlying inflammation in the body. And that inflammation includes everything, even genetic inflammation, because your microbiome, which is 90% or more of the genetic material in your body, these are microbes in your skin, in your gut, they react to food. And if food is inflammatory, if it has inflammatory stuff in it, hormones, pesticides, insecticides, chemicals, steroids, antibiotics, then that causes inflammation in the genetic material of the microbiome, and that of course crosstalks with the human genome, all the things that we can measure in the body, metabolites. There's a new science, it's called metabolomics, and so these metabolites indicate that there's inflammation in the body. The inflammatory markers are up, and the body is inflamed both in body and mind, because body-mind are a single activity in the human organism or in all living organisms. And so, what you've done is basically found a very practical way to decrease inflammation, which affects almost every epidemic known to humankind.
Well, it's funny because I'm listening to you speak, and I think, what my community is most inflamed with? Mm-hmm. Really bad food.
Yes.
Really bad choices. It is a swamp. And when I was younger, I understood the difference between good food and bad food. But now, because of marketing and the way certain communities are marketed to, we are inflamed with a wealth of bad choices. It's a food swamp, and everything is a mess, a manufactured edible synthetic substance. And part of what I've seen in my 30 plus years of teaching is children getting sicker, fatter, even with all the technology that we have, even with all the medical wisdom. And I believe it has to do with marketing. And I believe that as a society, how we treat our children is truly indicative of who we are. I was inspired very much by Mrs. Obama. And that, we've got to stop looking at children as epicenters of profit. But when you put a seed in a child's hand, you're making them a promise. You're making them a promise that that's going to grow to fruition and it's going to be something great. And those children bet upon seeing that harvest. And most importantly, if you do it in school, they can eat it in school. And that to me is what this movement is all about, removing death, disease, and disease, and replacing it with opportunity, hope, and a mindset. To think that we're doing it in the South Bronx, in the largest stretch of public housing, 4 stories up, using 90% less water and 90% less space, to me is what everyone's work should be about.
So how many kids are you reaching right now?
We touch in one school alone 785, and a program that I started a few years ago with 0 tower gardens in school now touches 5,000 schools across America. I mean, visiting schools in Cairo, in Dubai, in Colombia, in Canada. And every child needs to know where their food comes from.
And what we're seeing is better health, but we're also seeing better academic performance.
Absolutely better academic performance, better teacher retention. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. So in a neighborhood where we didn't have access to good food, we're setting our own table and filling it daily.
How about how do the kids get along with each other? Is there any emotional change?
Well, no child is going to behave properly if they have 2 energy drinks and a bag of cookies for breakfast. So teaching children about food, to become nurturers. And much like your work, when you teach children about nature, you teach them to nurture. And when we teach children to nurture, we as a society collectively embrace our better nature. That's what this is about. It's about growing something greater. It's about moving children from being bottom-end consumers to producers, to imagining a world that they never knew they were a part of, and to understanding that, to your point, we are all interconnected. That in a place where students grow up with bricks and cement and buzzers and police sirens, we can grow something great, that the green within us is really going to green our souls and change the world. And that, to me, is the power of a plant. It's a remarkable odyssey.
I'm speaking to Stephen Ritz. The book is The Power of a Plant, a teacher's odyssey to grow healthy minds and schools. Now, talking about inflammation, I watch the news these days and look at all the political discourse that's happening in Washington. And it looks like a lot of our political leaders seem to be a little inflamed, right, in body and mind?
These are inflammatory times, for sure. And I'm hoping for a course correction very soon.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the food policies and the government's influence on food policy is a result of, you said marketing, but lobbying in Washington. For every congressman, there are about 28 healthcare lobbyists, and they're basically promoting toxic food.
Well, really?
Refined, manufactured, processed, and inflammatory.
When you think about the reality, first of all, imagine if we treated our soil, if we refreshed our soil the way we refreshed our computer screens. Imagine if we treated farmers and workers with the dignity and respect that they deserve. But when you realize that 70% of the world's food is produced on 5 acres or less by local farmers, by small farms, that to me is a story worth telling. That is what we need to get back to. We need to become hyper-local, hyper-connected here. Even in New York City, so many wonderful farms like our friends up at Gotham Greens, connecting people. Eden Works, so many great people. That's what this movement is about. Hyper-connected, hyper-local, creating a rainforest. And the beauty about a rainforest is that it's all interconnected, that there's a niche and a role for everybody.
So, Stephen, where did the funding come from for this magnificent project? How do you get it funded?
Well, the funding came from right here, HIP National, and right here. It was a belief in myself. I want to thank my wife, Lizetta, if you're watching, and the students. I love you, so hey, everybody. But it started small and grew big. And if you buy the book, proceeds from the book support public education. So please, it's not about giving back, it's about paying forward. So please, get out there, buy the book. It supports public education, and I'm a proud advocate for public education because public schools matter. And we need to support all children and all schools. But it's proof that a seed well planted can give you a crop of epic proportions. We're certainly looking for funding, so if anybody's watching, we are what I like to say an impact-driven, for-purpose organization with charitable status, otherwise known as a nonprofit, but I don't want to be a non-anything. I want to be a can. I want to be impact driven and for purpose. So we funded this ourselves, and together and slowly but surely we're growing something greater, and that's what this movement is all about.
Okay, so we're going to be right back. We have to pause for an agreement with Facebook, and we'll be right back. This is how we can get maximum support. So I'm back with Stephen Ritz, and we've been talking about his book, The Power of a Plant, A Teacher's Odyssey to Grow Healthy Minds in Schools. And his organization is called Green Bronx Machine, and I think you would benefit a lot from buying this book, and you would benefit Stephen's project as well, because the proceeds from this book
go to public education
and go to public education. What is happening now? What's the next step from where you are to the next level?
Great. So what's happening now is I want to build a pipeline for children. I want to be the first teacher to send children from the South Bronx to the acclaimed Bronx High School of Science, because zip code and skin color should not determine outcomes in life. So very strategically, we are building aligned schools so that my children can go from elementary school to middle school to high school to successful college and career. And realize even here in New York City, I have students who are working at Whole Foods, people who are working at Gotham Greens, people who are working for the city, children who never imagined that they could grow something, much less touch fertile ground, are now part of a movement. So for me, it's about connecting opportunities, it's about connecting children, it's about true 21st century college and career readiness, and it's also about health and wellness, creating the mindset that what you eat can determine your destiny in life.
So Stephen, we've been having all this national debate recently, Obamacare, Trumpcare, repeal and replace. Trillions of dollars ultimately in the world are spent on healthcare with very little attention to prevention. And now we know actually changing your lifestyle, particularly what you eat, can not only prevent all these illnesses, I would say 95% of illness that is related to inflammation, but can even reverse inflammation, as is obvious from your own case, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I believe that we need to go from healthcare to self-care, and that let medicine be thy food and let food be thy medicine. We can grow something greater. I was so diseased, and on so much medication that it took 2 collapses to make me wake up. And to think that I can simply eat myself into good health by making sound choices in front of children who don't always know how to make the best choice or have the best option of choices is spectacular. But now I have little children who love basil and broccoli. And
are they influencing their parents at all?
Well, absolutely, and that's part of the work that we do, because it's one thing for children to grow food and bring it home, but it's a whole other thing when parents don't know what to do with it. So you can grow a lot of food, and right now we're sending home 100 bags of groceries a week, but we're also teaching parents how to cook it. We have this amazing device called the Green Bronx Machine Mobile Classroom Kitchen, and it is a portable food truck on wheels that goes from class to class, and it literally teaches children and parents how to cook, how to prepare meals. And just yesterday in the Bronx, we harvested over 5,000 plants with students that are going to be donated to cancer patients who are out of the hospital and now need fresh food.
And have a lot of inflammation.
Have a lot of inflammation.
So tell me, have you received any backlash at all from industry, from industrial food production and companies? Or you're not big enough at the moment?
Well, I'm not big enough at the moment. I've had, like any person that is a disruptor, and make no doubt about it, I am a disruptor. You're going to incur people's wrath, but for me, asking for permission is begging for denial, and I refuse to be held back. And for those who want to change the world, you can. You absolutely can, and you must. So get out there and do it. If you're not pissing someone off, you're probably not working hard enough.
Okay, so the book is The Power of a Plant, A Teacher's Odyssey to Grow Healthy Minds in Schools. Check out the website, StephenRitz.com.
StephenRitz.com, yes please.
The company, the non-profit is Green Bronx Machine. Do buy the book and help with a worthy cause and create your own movement like this. This will only ultimately changed the epidemic of inflammation in our times. It's the number one epidemic impacting the mental and physical health of everyone, including our leaders at the moment. So, Stephen, thanks for joining me.
Yes,
Any
thank
last
you.
messages for all the people who are watching us from all across the world?
To my wife, I love you. Thank you. To students and teachers who show up daily, thank you for doing the work. And to you, Deepak, who knew that a seed well planted could get me from the Bronx to Manhattan to meet one of my heroes? So get out there, everybody. Make epic happen. And as we say in the South Bronx, si se puede. Please check out the book and help us grow something greater. God bless each and every one of you.
God bless, stay healthy, live long, and cut down on the inflammation.